Welcome to the hip hop edition of the Late Kick Podcast.
What the? Why?
You are catching us in the middle of a spirited debate about pro wrestling as my two co-hosts bury their heads in their hands with cringe running through their bodies. You are catching us in the middle of a spirited discussion about WWE. But before we invite the listeners into our intelligent takes, how you fellas doing this afternoon?
I just want to say after that intro, I'm feeling friggity fresh.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Well, that was wiggity whack. All right.
Hey, yo, Jeremy, do me a favor. Don't do that again. don't do that again.
Just for that, I'm gonna come next week twice as hard.
Hey, yo. All right, okay. All right, yeah, no.
How you guys doing? You guys didn't answer my question.
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. I mean, I'm feeling fresh. What do you want me to say? We're in the middle of a pandemonium.
I need you to break out into when I introduce you like that. I need you to break out into a 16-bar freestyle real quick.
Okay. In Westville, no. We're in the middle of a pandemonium.
David, weren't you a rapper back in the day? Come on, man.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Back in the Disney.
Recollection of the events that you're talking about.
Back in the day when
David
was young.
How do you explain? No, I'm just joking.
Hilarious. How are you doing this fine evening, Mr. Jeremy and Mr. Michael?
I'm good. Yeah. Too bad Stefano's not here because today's actually a day where I might actually fall asleep on the podcast.
Hey, yo, good riddance, right?
No, honestly.
No. Stefano is currently serving trial for storming the Capitol, so that's why he could not make it today. But he will be back. One day, someone's actually gonna believe.
Somebody go into his DMs and blast him for doing that stuff.
Yeah,
just deplorable behavior.
Right. He's also engaging in crimes against humanity somewhere else. But until then, he'll be back next week, welcomed with open arms.
So baby, yo, let's move on, man. So basically, he's playing board games with his girlfriend. Got it. All right. Card games with his girlfriend.
Cards Against Humanity. Yo, that game is so awesome. I gotta say, we're not sponsored by them, by the way. But Cards Against Humanity, King Guan. All right.
Do we really want my takes on that game? Trash.
All right. Yeah. Trash? Really?
Trash.
Really?
Trash. It's just an excuse for white people to say offensive things. But that's okay.
Yo, I've always said that about like the push against cancel culture is that 80% of the time it's that people don't want to be held accountable for what they said or what they've said in the past.
Yeah,
and they're so mad.
Here's this game that's a perfect excuse to just say the most ridiculous stuff, which is fine. I get it. That's what's funny. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm just joking.
It's called Cards Against Humanity for a reason, right?
Pardon?
It's called Cards Against Humanity for a reason, right?
I guess so. Man, I think what the people really need to hear is not about some irrelevant game, which we cannot play now that we can't even be in the same room as more than 5 people. So there's nothing more trash than Cards Against Humanity against another person or one more person. Let's play Uno at that point. But what the people really need to hear is what is your totally inaccurate and totally wrong take about wrestling? Mr. Michael. We'll spend 5 minutes on this and then we'll move on because I think like 5 minutes is all that professional, and I use that in quotation marks. No disrespect to the gentlemen who get paid to do this because everybody making money. Never mad at nobody making money, but man, why are you trying to legitimize this?
Not legitimize it. What I was trying to say off air was that this shirt is actually based off of a wrestling club. I actually just got from Hot Topic because it looked cool. It was on sale, and it looked cool. All right, sue me. Right? But yeah, everyone, what was going on was when I got this shirt early, like in 2019, before the pandemic happened, people would do this to me, right? They would, you know, and expect, and I figured out that you'd have to do this back. So like you just, right? And that used to happen literally every time I'd go somewhere and wear this shirt. So I decided to actually watch a couple wrestling clips with this specific stable, and they're dope. They're dope. They are real dope. Bullet Club, by the way. And so, yeah, I said in 2020 I was going to watch more indie films and watch more pro wrestling, not just from the WWE, but also from Japan. And I actually never got to it, right? I was too busy, like, trying to make this podcast something, and right, and you know,
single-handedly dragging us from obscurity into revel.
Yeah,
get your stuff up. I hear you, man.
Yeah, my back is hurting from carrying us.
Yeah.
You know, no, but like it just honestly the way the pandemic worked, it was just so busy. I was so focused on so many other things I never got to. But now it's 2021. Things have settled down. This is kind of new normal. I'm kind of used to it. I am going to spend more time watching pro wrestling from Japan. Yeah.
Okay. Really quickly, Jeremy, are you into are you into adult men pretending to hurt each other on TV?
Oh yeah, man. I love it like a kid likes like a fat kid loves cake. No. Yeah, so it's like I love it like how I love cake.
Jesus.
But no, I mean like I'm into sports in general. Anybody who follows me on Instagram, anybody who talks to me for 30 seconds knows that I like sports and I like athleticism. And the other day, yeah, I stumbled upon some pro wrestling and female pro wrestling, and I gotta say those gals are quite athletic. So you know what? I'm not gonna hate it if it comes on. I'm a casual sports fan who enjoys pro wrestling from time to time, and they are athletes and yada yada yada.
Yeah, was definitely, you know how like rappers and, you know, the cool thing in this generation is now to like pretend like you really watch wrestling. I was definitely one of those kids who really watch wrestling, like from the
Yeah.
age of like 6.
Yeah.
Like my earliest memories was like me tearing like a Hulk Hogan sweater, like a white.
Oh,
man. So I've been on this since like the 90s, but at the same time, like man, like wrestling today is just not like it used to be. And also, the older I've gotten, like the more I realize just how silly it is. It's marketed to kids.
But you do sound like an old hip hop head saying that there's no like hip hop isn't the same as it used to be. That's what you sound like.
You guys are saying like, and Michael, you can get into this a little bit more. You guys are saying like there's stuff that they're doing now which they weren't doing back then. But I'm like, I am very much like the old hip hop. But it all comes from the same roots, bro.
No,
respect the legends, the icons, Dusty Rhodes.
Rhodes.
I gotta say, because of the lack of entertainment, because it is just stupid watching grown men scream in each other's faces and stuff. And the only thing that's holding them back is like an announcer with a microphone, like he's gonna do anything. But like, I will say that the talent is considerably more athletic than it was when I was a kid. I have to say that. I have to say that for sure.
Man, I'm seeing these guys. The whole thing I'm trying to say is,
hold on, real quick. Did you guys see that clip of Snoop Dogg jumping off the top rope?
Yeah, man. I don't want to see a clip of Snoop Dogg jumping up the top rope, and you guys are out here trying to be like, this is athletic. No.
Okay, that wasn't athletic. That was.
Dude, here's what I saw. Where I was like, wow, this guy's saucy. Man, hands in his pants, jumps through the rope, right? Takes out like 3 guys, jumping through the ropes. Rolls back in and does a kickflip with his hand still in the ropes. Yeah, obviously, it's like you expect me to believe that actually hurt, but at the same time, this man's saucy. Like, yo.
And some of the clips I see on social media are just embarrassing. Like, out of context. Like, that's the only way to describe them. Embarrassing. But once again, I'm not mad at nobody making money, so make your money, guys. But also, WWE is kind of like the blueprint for the UFC, if you think about it, in terms of their evil corporate practices and their terrible, terrible record of doing right by the fighters. So after the older I got, the more I was like, I'm not rolling with this. But I don't know.
Yo, but that's why, see, this is why I was telling everybody vote for Andrew Yang, because Andrew Yang, one of the first things he said he was going to do was take a look at the UFC and WWE's business practices. That was like literally number one for him. So actually, it was more like number four, but still.
Michael, I'm Canadian. I can't vote for Andrew Yang.
No, I know, but like we have American we have an American audience. That's what I was saying. Yo, American, vote for him. Vote. Go out for Andrew Yang.
Hilarious. All right, before we get into any topics, Jeremy, next week, biggest week in the football year. I know you have some thoughts. Before you get into your thoughts, I just want to quickly go into my really casual thoughts. Apparently, this is a QB versus QB matchup.
Yeah.
Old guard versus young guard.
Yep.
Apparently, I heard a take that says, Tom Brady, best of all time, most rings, blah, 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 blah. If he does it in a new place with Tampa, who weren't even in the playoffs, that it solidifies him as the most influential player in football history. Whatever, I've heard that take. But I've also heard a take that Dustin Mahomes is doing... Is his name Dustin or Pat?
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick.
Patrick Mahomes.
Who's Dustin?
Dustin, you probably still got Dustin Poirier on your brain. It's okay, don't worry.
I've heard a take that if Pat Mahomes... Oh, man, that's throwing me off.
Honestly, I didn't even catch it. I've heard
it take that Mahomes is doing stuff that people have never done before, that people have never seen before.
Yep.
And obviously Kansas are coming off their Super Bowl, and a Super Bowl last year, and people always say, it's tough for any team to do back to back. So I guess the smart pick would be Tom Brady, right?
The question was to win the Super Bowl back to back.
No, I'm just saying, I want to know your thoughts. But those are my amateur thoughts, QB
said
versus QB,
okay.
And the smart money's on Tom Brady to do what Tom Brady does, right?
The smart money is on Tom Brady, but the funny thing about sports and life in general is that it repeats itself a lot of the time. The Raptors versus Philly, Game 7, Eastern Conference semifinals. You had Tom Brady as a young Tom Brady facing the greatest show on turf, the St. Louis Rams, about 20 years ago. And I think that was what set off the dynasty, too. So that's the funny thing about history. So it's kind of like you have the same kind of storyline. You have the young gun versus the old gun. And Tom Brady was actually the quarterback back then, and he beat Kurt Warner to defeat the greatest show on turf. And then you have the story repeating itself again. You got the young gun, Patrick Mahomes, going up against the greatest quarterback of this era of football, Tom Brady, and possibly of all time. But I think even though I have to agree, based on all the NFL aficionados, football analytics, a lot of people are saying Tom Brady is the safe choice to go with this, even though technically I believe they're the underdog. But just because people are tired of doubting Tom Brady and being wrong. But I'm going to doubt him one more time. I'm going to say that the Chiefs win it. And I'm going to tell you why. This pairing of Andy Reid, who is the coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes, who is in fact doing some things that break the laws of physics, in my opinion. They do, like throwing with his eyes closed while texting his girl while setting up an appointment with his chiropractor. And a lot of the players who play the skill positions on the Kansas City Chiefs, they are like in the top 5, top 3 of their position, at the tight end position, at the slot receiver position, at the wideout position. They got weapons left, right, and center. Not to mention they have the ultimate weapon, which is Patrick Mahomes. If you look at games past when the Chiefs were losing games and it was like the team really kind of looked like they had them figured out in terms of their offense, they refuse to lose. They know how to use their talent. Basically, they just use talent to get around your play calls. You can know which play is coming, but Tyreek Hill is too fast. Travis Kelce, his hands catch radius is impeccable, and Patrick Mahomes is such a pure thrower of the football. I'm sorry, am I going on too much? Am I?
No, man.
No, go speak your truth.
It's such a pure thrower of the football. Now, you have to remember, there is a gentleman on the other side of the field who, if you hand the ball back to them,
But so, Jeremy, let me ask you this though: can't you say that Tampa Bay also has an embarrassment of riches? Like they got Mike Evans, they got Chris Goodwin, they got Antonio Brown, they got Gronk. So why is Kansas's weapons better, or like what's going on?
They're actually with Tampa Bay having the better defense. The teams are actually very similar in terms of talent, but I'll tell you the difference. Andy Reid. Andy Reid has been able to make dang near every quarterback he's coached better. Michael Vick. Who's the guy who's the kind of chunky black guy who played for the Eagles? I forget his name. Mick something.
Oh, McNabb.
Donovan McNabb, right?
Yeah,
he's made every quarterback. He's made every quarterback he's played better. So when it comes down to when you break it down, they are very similar in terms of talent, but Andy Reid has the tools to thwart what's his name?
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians.
Who's the quarterback whisperer. Who is the quarterback whisperer?
Bruce Arians is the lesser coach in this match. And football a lot of times comes down to coaching. So I just got to give Kansas City the slight edge. And also Kansas City, I
don't know if I agree with you on that. I think Bruce Arians is like he's known as the quarterback whisperer, Like
but Andy Reid is a football coach and even though he's a quarterback whisperer, Andy Reid has a proven track record of making quarterbacks better, no?
Fair enough.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to take the Chiefs by 4 points.
All right. That's real. What I really want to know, more important than, who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to do the halftime show?
Oh, I think it was it Lady Gaga? No, not Lady Gaga. She did it last time.
The Weeknd.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that why he didn't get a Grammy Award or whatever? Like, what happened with that? Apparently because he was going to do the Super Bowl halftime show, and the Grammys wanted him to perform, but you had to choose between them or the Super Bowl. That's what the Grammys said, and he chose the Super Bowl. They said, all right. Huh?
When even are the Grammys?
No, he did it like last year.
Oh.
Right? Apparently the story goes, this is from an outside perspective looking in, but the story goes is that he was slated to perform for the Super Bowl because they pick their halftime show like months in advance. Like that's the way they go. The story is that he was told by the Grammys, you can't perform for both, so you have to pick one or the other. And he decided to pick the Super Bowl because Jay-Z's running it and, whatever. Yada.
Hold on. I want to backtrack to something. Did you say even more important than the game?
Yes.
Don't make me come to Ottawa and slap you, David.
Yes. No, like all TV, the game is just filler. Like, it's just filler for the ads. Think about it. Like, they're just like,
you know what?
But what we're really paying for is the ad space. So, yeah. What's more important?
We're paying for everything surrounding the game, not the actual game, right?
Nah, there's a lot of Canadians who will literally like bootleg the American broadcast just for the American commercials and the halftime.
Oh yeah. What's up with that?
It's a weird thing. They said, although I think CTV or I think somebody said they will give up the ad revenue so that you can watch the American.
But you got to pay for it.
Yeah, but like apparently you have to pay more or something. Dude, I have no clue. Anyway, back on the weekends thing, because this is actually really interesting about power dynamics, and it kind of relates to some of the stock issue now. Is that what the Grammys actually did was they allegedly, even though The Weeknd had the number one album, somehow wasn't nominated for any awards.
That tells you, man, those awards are some bullshit, bro.
Yeah, about politics. But then again, like, you shouldn't be getting validation from a Grammy. But then again, sorry, go on.
No, I was your choir. I was just preaching you on.
No, for real, you shouldn't have great validation for a Grammy. The Weeknd's done his thing. He doesn't need a Grammy.
I mean, it's easy for the Weeknd, but like it does show though, like what if you're a lesser known artist, you know, or not even a lesser known artist, like what if you're like a Pusha T, for example, you know,
the people give these awards value and esteem. The trophy in itself is like what, a couple $100? It's the people that give it value.
No, because you know when it comes to signing bonuses and renegotiating your contract,
because
matter.
Yeah, once again, because people give it value. Like
okay, I see what you're saying.
Difference between winning like a Grammy and like a BET award. That's because people value BET awards differently than they value a Grammy. So I think we're moving to a time where like those kinds of awards are just irrelevant, honestly, because the number one streaming artists aren't Grammy award winning artists, and the pretense, in my opinion, I'm sorry to be so anti-institution, but the pretense that, you know, having a Grammy is, you know, signifies some kind of excellence in your art form, I think that's dead.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best musician or best rapper to be a Grammy award winning artist at all.
I mean, not to dwell on the subject too much, but you're right about that whole, the awards don't really have the pulse of the actual what's good music. But in terms of the contract and renegotiation and getting money and all that stuff, I think that's starting to change with the advent of social media, and people are showing their proof of concept of where their fans come from and everything like that. So a lot of the power in terms of negotiating what the label gets to do in marketing you, you kind of have the power, you have the leverage because you already have. You can get big without the label because of different avenues to put your music on. And shout out to artists like Russ and artists like that who are, you know,
No, shout out to Russ. I guess be independent. I guess. Yeah, shout out to independent artists, man.
No, but just showing, you know, artists the laid of how to, you know, go into these deals with higher leverage and stuff.
Yeah, although I don't like Russ's music.
No, me
he's
neither.
He's an okay guy. Like I'm sure he's a fine gentleman, but
you think so? Anyway, this isn't a hip hop podcast. Oh man, we were just joking about the hip hop podcast, but here we are.
We were. That was a complete joke, ladies and gentlemen. Like,
hilarious. All right, I'm sure we have some topics to get to.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let's see. I got to pull it up. Give me a second. Guys, stall. Come on.
Hey, look here, y'all. Last night, one of my favorite boxers, you hear me shout it at the mountaintop, Caleb Plant, dominated with a 120-108 win by a unanimous decision over Caleb Truax. Phenomenal fighter. I'm telling you guys, go watch this guy, man. He's so fluid. He's like, if I had to say, he's like a super middleweight Lomachenko with a little bit of, I don't know, he's got a little bit of, in my eyes, I just feel like with the 5 fights that I've watched, he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Roy Jones with like a Lomachenko.
What?
a little bit in terms of the speed, and I just oh, look who it is.
Whoa!
So yeah,
Oh Lord! I thought you were on trial, big
Look,
dog.
the God amongst kings. What's that?
I thought you were on trial, big dog.
all right. Before you guys get into your little bromance, let me finish what I was saying.
The trial of renowned Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, you're recording?
Yeah, we're recording this. Let me finish my take.
Listen, Jeffrey Epstein did nothing wrong.
Let me finish my take really quick. So yeah, that's my opinion. That's my opinion of a soon-to-be phenomenal fighter, and he's got.
So
his
what are we talking about? Hey, hold on. Fill me in. What did we go through
Oh
already?
my God! Shut up.
Listen. The pizzazz, the razzle dazzle has entered the room.
No, I'm not gonna lie. You're the talent. But I just got to get this information.
Do you go up to LeBron James and say, "Hey, LeBron, can you just hit a few less free
Yes.
throws?" You know? Like, no. You let LeBron, when the firework enters the room, you don't try and put it out. Because you know what? Baby, you're a firework.
I knew you were gonna go there.
Let your colors burst.
You were gonna go there.
You don't even have to try.
All right, I'm done.
Jeremy,
I'm done.
Wait, hold on.
Caleb,
Caleb,
look out for it. I'm done. Go ahead.
Can I hear what we're talking about? First of all, David's dressed like an Eastern European thug today. I don't know if he's planning to smoke outside of a Russian drugstore with a bottle of Stoli in his hand, but very, very interesting look. I like the Eastern European vibe. So can someone fill me in? Like, what are we?
Jeremy was talking about Caleb Plant's dominating win over Caleb Truhaas.
Are we into boxing? Did we go through news already? Did we do news?
No, we didn't get to news yet, but I was.
That's what happens when I'm not here. Leg kick audience. These guys, they go all over the place. They're bouncing off the walls, right? They need the fifth out. They call me the fifth out.
Michael, edit this out, man. What are you talking about? Jeremy actually had a question about Caleb Plant. What's it called? Where was this fight?
David, did you get your nails done?
It was in LA.
I look pretty manicured.
It was promoted by PG.
Nails did, hair did, everything did. Sorry, I missed the introduction, so I gotta make an entrance. You know me.
God, Jeremy, please go on.
Oh my God.
Razzle dazzle and pedazzle.
Right,
okay, Jeremy, go on. Make your point about Caleb Plant and Caleb Tree.
Immediately after this podcast, I'm going to Best Buy and I'm getting a louder microphone because you motherfuckers are gonna cut me off for the last time.
Jeremy, while you're at it, how about you get a camera that doesn't film in potato?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that too. Actually, I have one, but it's on the clips.
How about you do what the other, fine personalities in the leg kick have done, and get something that doesn't make you look like you're recording from a 1940s broadcast. Jesus, you look like you're in the, the quality of your camera looks like you're in one of the Third Reich.
Why don't you come in
1 hour late into the pod?
Wait, how am I 1 hour late?
Roasting people.
I'm 15 minutes late.
Why don't we start
late?
We started at 5. My phone's been dead all day. Wait, we're an hour in?
Yeah.
No, we're 20. We're technically 22 minutes in because David wanted to go get his lap from.
Oh, that's true.
His garage.
Blame it on me, Mike.
Okay, so hold on. So what have we covered so far?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Typical. You guys were
I'm just roasting you.
Can we at least talk about Caleb Plant though before we mess with each other, please?
Hey, so in big news, okay, sorry, Jeremy, go ahead. You know we love you.
Oh no, my moment's long gone. Let's just keep strolling along.
Michael,
even if you're recording using Hitler's telegraph, we still love you. Okay.
Oh my
Christ.
This is Jeremy over here.
Michael, remember that part about having an easy template that you used to edit?
Anyways, so
it's gone.
So how was your weekend, guys? Well, let me tell you about my weekend.
Wait, what happened? Yeah, you said you had news.
I had an allergic reaction on my face.
Oh yeah?
What?
I'm allergic to mangoes.
What the fuck?
Really?
Yeah, I know. I'm currently hopped up on Benadryl and espresso.
Holy snap.
Yeah.
Wait, was it a raw mango or was it bubble tea?
Ooh, bubble tea sounds good right about now. You know what it was? Is I had Indian food and it was cross-contaminated with mangoes, and then about a day or so later, I'm like, why is my face so itchy? Why is my butthole so itchy? And now here I am in copious amounts of pain, but hopped up on Benadryl and coffee. So
Hold on, time out. Did you just admit that you were fingering your butthole
Yeah.
on air?
And also, Mr.
What,
MMA fighter, I thought pain was for the weak. What are you saying? Like, you can't
pain
beat a
is for the
mango?
weak?
Yeah.
The strong don't experience pain. First of all, Mike, doesn't everyone? Isn't this what this podcast? Oh, shit. My butthole fingering podcast is on Thursdays. Sorry about that. This is the leg kick. Damn.
Oh, Stefano, you have a pick for the Super Bowl?
Do I have a what?
You have a pick for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, who's playing?
Never mind. Never mind.
Who's playing in the sport ball game?
No, never mind. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
It's Buffalo Bills and the who are the other guys? I know not Peyton Manning. What's his name? The guy who played for the Patriots. He's in there.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah. The guy who kisses his son on the lips.
And it's not Buffalo Bills.
Yes. Now that's a take we needed during our football segments.
Oh yeah.
What the hell is with that? Like, it's acceptable up to a certain age, but his kid's like 15, like, I love you, Dad.
Man, maybe you
I
just
love
have
you
a
too,
problem
son.
with
Give me some
Stefano.
sugar. Come on over here and give your dad
Maybe
a
you
kiss
just have
on
a
the
problem
tongue.
with intimacy, man. Maybe you just have a problem with intimacy.
Hey, I'm Italian. We are as intimate as they come, right? Hugging, kissing on the cheek, kissing on the forehead, but like Tom Brady's over here sucking face with his son, Like,
oh God! Why'd you have to use sucking? Like in that? Why?
Hey, yo, did we have some topics, man?
they're over here spitting in each other's mouths, like.
Oh Lord. Okay, guys. All right. So some small items of news. First one, friend of the show, Justin Condi, 55 seconds, TKO. Look at that.
Condi, man, we thought you were a striker. What are you doing getting KOs from mounted positions?
Yeah, what are you
Guy.
doing? Like,
What are
I'm
you
out
doing
here-
finishing it on the ground?
Man, he got a knee on belly, turned into mount, and just wailed on him for 15 seconds before the ref got him off. So good. Hey.
Big up,
Just-
Andy.
Yeah, great work. Really showing the evolution of his game. And when he came on the show, he spoke about that, how he came into MMA kind of like, I don't, my striking skills will be enough. And it's good to see the full evolution of his game now becoming a well-rounded mixed martial artist. And it just goes to show you when you come on the leg kick, it's good luck.
Yeah. Next fight for him should be sometime in March. I think BFL signed him out in BC. So
I saw that. Hey, BFL is an excellent promotion to get your name out there and possibly use that as they're a good funnel organization for the UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
it's gonna be on Fight Pass apparently. So.
Yeah, it's on Fight Pass. I think Jeremy Kennedy's gone from BFL to the UFC. There's a few other stars that have made the transition. So yeah, hilarious.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Justin Condi.
Gandhi.
Man. In other news, Habib is still on his world tour. After visiting, a couple world leaders, he went and visited Will Smith. I don't know what they talked about, but that's a thing.
Michael,
So it looks.
They made a collab album.
We had a pre-show meeting, and I say meeting, we talked for like 30 minutes, and you said that you put this in as a joke. Why are we talking about this?
Because it was supposed to be something that it was going to be like this. I was going to say this after. It looks like he's retired for sure. And then after, that means, he's going to vacate. He's probably going to vacate. If he's meeting stars and not training and going left and right, he's done. So,
you know what?
Yeah.
I don't hate it either way, right? If he wants to retire, he's got very legitimate reasons to retire, and I definitely like seeing more stars go out on top as opposed to, it's like Neil Young said, it's better to burn out than it is to rust. And we've seen one too many MMA stars just rusting and taking loss after loss after loss. Are there matchups I want to see him in? Absolutely. Do I hate him going out on top like this? Not at all. It leaves us a legend. It leaves us a lot of potential fantasy matchups to talk about. And, he's done enough where I don't think it's premature.
Sorry, I was going to say this too. at least he is an ambassador for the sport going out on top, and a relatively good ambassador at that. Like, he's got his demons, of course. He's got some flaws, right? But he is a guy who's kind, who's respectful, you know what I'm saying, and represents MMA well enough that because he is retiring and is retiring as like one of the best of all time, along with GSP, those two guys can represent the sport well, as opposed to, let's say, a guy like, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but a guy like Conor McGregor, not so much, right? Because he does have he does have a weird reputation, right? So I would say that, yeah, I'm okay with him retiring and doing a world tour where he's visiting people left, right, and center, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great ambassador for the sport, as you put it, especially for, a lot of the Ural and Central Asian regions of the world, as we can see a big explosion in MMA happening from that area. A lot of people coming to the UFC, but also to leagues like Brave and One, like they're,
Yeah, I feel like in a weird way, Khabib's effect for that area is like basketball players in Canada and what Vince Carter did for him. You know, where like there was that explosion of basketball players from Canada who watched Vince Carter and now are making their way into the NBA, and now you're seeing that Canadian explosion. It's kind of like that for Khabib and the MMA fighters in that region, right? So, yeah.
Or GSP.
GSP and the Canadian explosion as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But to be fair, there's also guys, anyway, not that it matters, but there's guys that come before Khabib. I'm thinking specifically of Fedor, who's also Russian, although not from the same region, but also has like a similar Sambo background, if I'm not mistaken. Similar ties with Putin. Did the tour, did the whole ambassador thing. But, shouts out to Khabib, who's doing it in a new era and has fought the biggest star there is in MMA. So, yeah, I mean,
but I feel like Khabib's impact is greater because not to get too geopolitical, the Dagestanis and the Chechens, for that matter, have had a kind of weird antagonistic relationship with mainland Russia, and so
I also, not to interrupt, but I also feel like, I mean, there's different appeal because Khabib has the Russian appeal. I know a lot of Russian people that are actually like, no, I'm a McGregor fan, and a lot of people across Russia are actually McGregor fans in non-Islamic Russia. Khabib as well has a different kind of pull, where I've seen a big pull from the Islamic world more generally, right? Mm-hmm. Where he's been a big inspiration to various people in the Islamic world, and there's quite a few countries with very like illustrious combat sports background in the kind of, I guess you would say, Central Asian Islamic republics around the world.
Yeah, it's starting to explode a little bit.
All your Stan countries, everything that ends in Stan.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I
have a couple pieces of news. No, are you still going?
No, I was gonna say,
because if you're done,
I guess I'll move on to. Okay, so Gone versus Rosenstruik moved to February 27th. Was that on your list?
That was on my list, and one thing you didn't mention just now about that is that it is actually a 5-round main event.
Ooh.
So this is going to be good. I don't remember if the JDS fight was 5-round main event. I think it was, but certainly no. It wasn't a main event. Regardless, it didn't last 5 rounds, but yeah.
Man, awesome.
We gonna see.
All right.
We gonna see.
Yeah. Moving on. I know you guys are gonna love this one. I don't know if this is on your list, and I know this is gonna take a lot of time. Jake Paul versus Ben Askren is official. It's April 17th. Our social media had a field day with it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm hella nervous.
And Jorge Masvidal is currently training with Jake Paul. Listen, the way I see it, as pooey as Ben Askren's striking is, he's a lifelong athlete. He's a man who has been in and around combat sports his whole life. And Jake Paul, well, he's clearly athletic. is a layman learning to box. Sure, you look good knocking out basketball players, but I genuinely think that Ben Askren's going to put it on him. It's going to be ugly. We're all going to feel disgusted afterwards and dirty and sick. I do think Ben Askren's going to win, and everybody's left, right, and center is going to try and claim moral victory.
Look, if Ben Askren wins, I'll be happy and eat some crow. I will literally eat some crow on this podcast. But I actually legitimately think it's going to be competitive, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I don't think Jake Paul is as bad. You're on mute, big guy.
I was just saying Mike with his hot takes. Am I right?
No, first of all, I don't think Jake Paul is as bad as people are like MMA fans like to believe. For like, if he faces me, Stefano, and I'd even argue Jeremy, I think he would have a real tough time. But sorry, Stefano, you gotta get yourself off of mute, man.
Sorry, I would knock his ass out. I would grind him into a fine paste, but go on.
Yeah, no, I think he'd have a real tough time. But the thing about it is, I wouldn't doubt for a second that he wouldn't do okay, like he wouldn't land something. And
against me, if you mean a tough time, sorry, if by me against me a tough time, you mean having several $1 million in medical bills, you'd be correct.
Right?
David, are you not gonna say something to him like you did me?
Wait, you think, David? Sorry, do you actually think I'd lose to Jake Paul?
No. David thought he'd lose to Jeremy. That's like one of our famous takes. Apparently, you guys like
Jake Paul lose to Jeremy?
No. I would listen.
Yes. I still stand by
I
the
would
take.
get no. Not only lose, but that I would get like
Embarrassed. Yes.
embarrassed.
Like Jake Paul?
Yes.
absolutely.
Either Paul brother. Either
Can I
Paul brother.
tell you something?
Paul brother. I don't even know which.
Real quick before you jump in, but when we did that podcast, I had only watched the highlights. So the only thing I really knew about Jake Paul was, this Jake Paul, he's just some kind of YouTuber who is strong and Nate Robinson just didn't know how to box.
Yes.
But then when I actually watched the fight, I'm like, okay, he's actually kind of skilled. But
Listen, no, Jeremy, I think you were right on the first take. He has some very basic boxing skills, which are the kind of if you're athletic and you have some basic boxing skills, you'll beat people who don't know how to fight. And Nate Robinson clearly had no clue how to fight. He was running face forward into clinches, just like trying to spam these looping punches at Jake Paul. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing on his part.
No, that's my thing. I would argue. Sorry. You seemed like you had more.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think Jeremy would fuck up Jake Paul. I think Jeremy would hit Jake Paul in his pretty little face, and it wouldn't be a pretty little face anymore.
Like
we don't need to get into a dick measuring contest.
I'm measuring your dick, my friend.
I know. I'm saying thank you.
I'm saying it's of adequate girth and heft.
All right, thank you. Pause. But what I am saying is that I really don't know where I'm going with this. But what I am saying is that, David, I want you to check him like you did me. What are you doing?
Jeremy, the difference between you, do I really need to talk about the difference in terms of striking pedigree between you and Stefano?
All right, fine.
Let's put it this way. One of you coaches striking, one of you has just started striking. No disrespect.
No disrespect, but you're making me say it again. I'm going to put that boy down. I really don't.
Yes.
I tried not to get baited into it, but you know what? I'm going to say it. I look for him. I would find him. And I would get the job done.
Man, do you think, with all due respect, Jerry, do you think you're going 6 rounds?
Give me 6 months and it's on.
Oh man, look at this guy. 6 months.
I'll tell you right now, I don't think Jeremy needs 6. I'll tell you right now, I don't think Jeremy needs 6. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I don't need Jeremy.
Get out of this. How do we get? No, nobody's fighting the Paul brothers.
Sorry. Here's my point. Here's my real point. Here's my point. I think if he faces somebody who's on the cusp of pro or a really hungry amateur guy, he'll have a tough time. But if he's facing a guy who's A, not well-rounded in the striking game, and B, is not very hungry or is retired or 1 foot out the door or something like that, he can do some things to make it competitive. And that's the thing that I'm worried about. Now, I made a video, admittedly, that...
Sorry, Michael. Just to clarify, so are you putting Jeremy in Group A?
Yes.
David.
All right, never mind. Oh, yo.
David, leave me alone. We moved on.
Look, I've worked with Jeremy, and I've worked with people who like fight amateur mixed martial arts and amateur boxing, and I'm going to tell you right now, Jeremy's skilled. Jeremy's skilled.
Going pro?
Let me ask you a question. Because a lot of times when people show Ben Askren boxing, they show a lot of his lowlights. I've noticed that. But what is one fight, maybe two fights that you'll say, okay, we can get an adequate measuring of what Ben Askren's understanding and skill of boxing would be?
You can't really. There's not a lot of fights where he's boxing. And honestly, his boxing looks pretty pooey in most fights. Usually he's just kind of using it to set up his takedowns, more or less, right? So, but the thing is, he's boxing a Paul brother, for fuck's sakes. He's not, this is an elite athlete who's been competing his entire life and is surrounded by the best. Tyron Woodley's one of his sparring partners, for God's sakes. So, I mean, the skills are there enough to beat up a YouTuber, and I can't believe this is even controversial to say, or that people are leaning in the other direction just because his striking looks ugly.
No, but this is the other thing is that, like, I've made some calls. I've talked to some people, and not only is the Paul brothers do not cut corners. They do not cut corners. I want that to be expressed right now. They do not cut corners with their training, right? And they not only do they not cut corners, they're training with the right people, right? And because of those things, I think that, look, I made a video expressing that I thought Ben Askren might lose, and there was a little, I'm not gonna lie, I was playing it up a little bit. I was playing it up a little bit for the views. I'm not gonna lie, but the point still remains, though, is that the thing about Jake Paul is he's not gonna cut corners. He is taking this seriously, and he is training and sparring with the right people. Pro boxers. They say that in Vegas he was very competitive with a pro boxer. They say that in the UFC PI, I know it's not the same Paul brother, but Logan Paul was very competitive against Paulo Costa, right? And that's what they say.
Competitive against Paulo Costa? Come on now. Come on.
That's what you're telling me. That's what people are telling me.
Yeah, but how much of this is hyperbole, right? And how much of this is hype jobs? And
wait, and what's competitive?
That's
not
exactly
getting
my
his
thing.
face smashed in, or
like, do you really think Paulo Costa is, this rich YouTube star comes into his gym? Do you really think Paulo Costa is trying to concuss this man and no?
It was at the UFC PI.
It was a fucking photo op, for God's sakes.
It probably was, but they said look, what they said was he was training with Jake Paul specifically. What I've heard is he was training with some boxers out in Vegas, and people were really impressed with the way he was sparring with these guys. Particularly, they say he's got a laser right hand.
Right? Yo, Michael, stop.
I love hyperbole so much because, words like laser and championship level and elite in MMA just get tossed around so much that they literally have no meaning anymore.
No meaning.
It's fair enough.
What I will say is, Paul brothers are multimillionaires, and they've been on this boxing thing for at least 5 years. Because the KSI fight, when was that? 2018?
It is done. It is done.
Yeah, that was ages ago, and they were training for at least a year before that. What I'm saying is they're multimillionaires with the resources and the time to spend time training all the time. Come on, man. These guys have skills.
Fun fact, every second we talk more about the Paul brothers, I feel my soul just eroding away. And the integrity of this channel. Can we move on? Please?
I want to hear it from David's mouth. Pause. You think he's gonna beat Ben Askren?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I think Ben Askren wins, but it's going to be competitive. That's what I'm trying to say.
Is this is this a sanctioned match? Like it's an actual match, or is it an exhibition?
Yeah. 8 rounds. 8 rounds.
All right.
It's a real match. Ben Askren's going to win. It's going to look disgusting. We're all going to feel disgusted with ourselves, and everyone's going to be trying to claim a moral victory. I'm calling it. That's how it's going down.
If Ben Askren doesn't win, does that mean like ONE FC and Bellator should forever hold their heads in shame in terms of like the quality?
Well, no, because he's not a boxer.
No, because that's not how Ben Askren won his fights. He won his fights by taking people to the ground, slapping around, and making them call him daddy. Like it's like
saying if Damian Maia lost a boxing match, it's like that doesn't really mean anything. We're not talking about the K1.
But your argument though is that because he's trained this for years, even though he's not an expert, his minimal level is still higher than a guy or a YouTuber, I guess.
That's what I would say. And I think he slaps Jake Paul around, but honestly, I'm not excited for this. I wish this
Stefano, why do you think it's going to be so uncompetitive? Like
I didn't say uncompetitive. I think Ben Askren's going to slap him around, and I think it's just going to look like an ugly, sloppy fight. That's what I'm insinuating. And I think it's going to be ugly and gross enough that we all feel disgusted coming from it. That's all I'm saying. We're all just going to feel like we need to take a shower with a liter of bleach and a steel wool brush and just scrape off several layers of our skin. I
can see that happening for sure. Actually, that's probably the most likely. No matter who wins, I think we all lose that night.
Yeah.
The fans are the real losers here. So with that being said, guys, now that we've Can we stop, or is there a little bit more of my soul you'd like to take from me? Can we talk about some real combat?
So who should Logan Paul face then? If Jake's all booked up.
Isn't facing Floyd in the end of the year?
Logan Paul should face. Actually, there's this guy, up and coming boxer. Do you know about Dees? He's nuts.
Don't do it.
Anyways, can I get into the rest of the news? Jesus, guys. All right.
Sure.
Ben Rothwell fighting Felipe Lins March 13th.
Stop, please. Don't do that, man. You can't go from Jake Paul versus Ben Askren to Ben Rothwell versus Felipe Lins.
That's fair. Anyways, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier thanking Conor McGregor for the $500,000 donation to the Good Fight Foundation.
Hey, you know what? That's good on him. You know what I will say though? Conor took that loss with some class. So
okay. Here's a weird take. Do you feel like because it was all, and this is just a random throwaway take, but because it was all love before the fight, that kind of affected Conor's mentality going into the fight, or in the actual fight? Because in the presser, they were already talking about donating to each other's charities, talking about hooking each other up with their distribution guy.
It's hard to say how much that impacted it going into it because. Sorry, dog going crazy. Because Conor was also fairly ingratiated going into the Cowboys Cerrone fight, right? And I'm not going to steal LT's take, but LT did say that it seemed like after the Khabib fight, the whole approach of animosity, Conor kind of took that as far as it could go, and it was time for a change. I don't know, but I'm not saying it didn't necessarily impact him. You might be right. Maybe Conor is someone who needs anger in his heart to succeed, but. Who's to say?
It felt like they were buddies, especially during the face-off, he hands him the sauce. I was hey, what is going on? Are you guys fighting?
No, I agree. I think Conor needs that vitriol. He needs it to be a violent sport. He needs anger to take somebody out. I agree. I feel like that is why he lost.
I don't know if it's solely the reason he lost. I think that takes away from the fact that Poirier came in with a great game plan. You know what I'm saying? Took him down to throw off Conor's timing so he couldn't hit him with that key switches. And he cap kicked the hell out of his leg to stop him from putting weight on it because Conor switched to a front leg heavy style. So I think let's not forget the technical aspects as to why Conor lost as well.
Yeah, but
I'm not gonna deny that you guys are correct, and maybe the switch of because you guys know as well as I do that the mentality you have going into a fight absolutely can impact your performance in the fight. That's very much true.
Yeah.
I personally don't know how much that impacted him, right? It could be a lot, it could be a little, it could be not at all. I'm not sure how to quantify it. What I do know is that for me, I think in the first round, friendliness or not, Conor genuinely seemed like he was trying to hurt Poirier, right? It didn't seem like that kind of held him back from violence necessarily. But for me, I think he got away from some of the key aspects of his style that brought him to the dance. And I think part of that is due to Poirier's just excellent game planning as well. It's like the cake analogy I made last week, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, another thing, and I can't really. You just said front kick, and I'm just remembering, and it's actually a parallel point.
I never said front kick.
Conor
No,
McGregor,
that was me.
No, Michael. Do you think Conor McGregor has been? Well, obviously the answer is no, but it's interesting how he's not been the same since the Mayweather fight, because literally since that fight, he's a completely different fighter. I'm not sure I can remember a front kick since that fight.
Since the Eddie Alvarez fight, you know?
Yeah, David, you could be right.
Mayweather, like
somebody said, I think somebody said it. I can't remember where I heard this take, but I think somebody said the same thing along the same lines of what you're saying, David. I think after the Mayweather fight, he kind of fell in love with his hands.
That was me for the
That was you?
Yeah. Ooh, somebody, it can't be Michael. It's a good take, so it can't be Michael.
Someone I'm vaguely familiar with. Oh yeah, my brother.
Okay, geez. Yeah. Okay, well then, Michael, go ahead, take it away.
No, you could say it. I was just saying.
But then if you said that, I agree completely. Like, yeah, like after the Mayweather fight, it didn't even seem like he was really ready to mix it up on the ground or with the legs with Cerrone. So
I'm just saying, you take a look at that Diaz fight. Remember how many leg kicks he threw in the Diaz fight? And then you take a look at what he's doing, and then you took a look at the Alvarez fight where the front kick, the Alvarez and the Mendes fights especially, where the front kick, that snap kick to the liver, was there all night, and ow, my hand. But you take a look at those fights, and I think I saw one kick. It was a spin kick. It landed, and I was like, okay, so you're gonna go to that to guide him into the left hand a little more. And he never really threw it in the Poirier fight. So, yeah. Stefano, you're on mute.
You know what? It's our reptilian overlords doing this to me. Anyways, I think that front kick to the body would have been very useful in the Poirier fight as well, because one of Poirier's historic weaknesses is that because of his shoulder roll style of defense, his body can be open. Max Holloway had a lot of success hitting his body. And that front kick is coming from a range where, he provides kind of an answer, something offensive within that range where Poirier was hitting him with that low kick. It's attritive as well, which isn't necessarily McGregor's style, but at least it would have brought Poirier's hands down. It would have been an interesting component to his game. But yeah, and the interesting thing about the Mayweather fight, because you guys brought up he fell in love with his hands, I think it's partially that, and it's also taking time off to work on strictly your hands. Like, boxing for MMA and boxing are very different. Your boxing and MMA works as a part of a complete system, and it's set up with other tools. Even if you're mostly a boxer, like a BJ Penn or something, the threat of your other weapons and the range, and it's different. And it seemed like, to me at least in this fight, and I've got to give it another watch, Conor's kicks, when they happened, weren't necessarily a part of a complete system. It seemed like he wanted to box. His stance was different. Am I off base here, guys?
Yeah. Well, I would also say, though, like, diversity. No, I would say you're on base, but like what I would say is, it's not like Conor was bad though. Like, that's the thing. I don't want to take too much away from Dustin Poirier, because it's like Dustin came correct. And it's not like Conor didn't come correct. Even conditioning wise, he didn't look like he was breathing heavy after the first, like usual. Like, he came correct. It's just diversity of attacks used to be Conor McGregor's thing, right? He had a real nice hurricane kick before. Real nice hurricane kick where he'd throw a spin kick off a pump. And I haven't seen it since the Marcus Brimage fight. Actually, no, since the Dennis Siver fight. So,
and do you remember that he had that stepping bicycle knee that he'd use on people against the fence?
Yeah.
That was a beautiful little trick he had too. He was all about he lost the script. He lost the script.
I mean, but it makes sense why he's not doing stuff like flying, stepping, bicycle knees anymore. He's just a different fighter now because he's just not as explosive as he once was before. Especially as you get older, I can imagine you wouldn't want to even chance gassing out. And that was one of the narratives coming into this Poirier fight was that, was he going to gas out? So I understand it, but I like you guys. I agree. I just think he wasn't diverse enough in his strikes, punching heavy, and honestly, he just seemed a little bit. I don't want to say predictable, but I thought he won that first round. But
I would agree. I'm going to go back and correct myself, David, because last week I disagreed with you. I'd like to change that. I think I agree that McGregor won the first round. The problem was that Poirier was starting to set the narrative. In the first round and took the later portions of the round. So given the context of the whole fight, I was very ready to be like, oh, Poirier won that. But looking back on it, I agree with you. I think McGregor landed the more damaging shots in the first round.
Like, he's still dangerous. That's the thing. Like, he's clearly still dangerous. It's just like, that's why I'm like, is it a mentality thing? Since making $100 million, whatever million dollars, like, does he still have that same anger and animosity if it's not Khabib? Because he was actually good. I mean, people always say, oh, yeah, he took a round from Khabib. Like, that's supposed to mean something. But, he was actually, compared to, with all due respect, compared to, like, the Dustin Poirier fight and the Justin Gaethje fight, like, that was more competitive.
Much more competitive,
with Khabib. So, like, he's clearly still got it if he has that animosity. But if it's not there, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Now, I know we touched on this last week as opposed to matchups after this fight, but I don't know why I never considered this, and I wanted to float it by you guys. Now, McGregor seems like he's at the stage of his career, and mind you, we don't necessarily know. We've seen fighters come back from 2 tough losses in a row and go on to win championships even, right? That's a thing that's happened. We don't know. And before this fight, interestingly enough, a lot of people were saying that by the end of 2021, McGregor is going to be champion. I'll ask you guys 2 questions. Number 1, do you think McGregor could still be champion by the end of 2021? If not, who do you think will be champion?
Well, the problem is that whoever's going to be champion is probably going to shut down for the year, right? Like, if Gaethje wins the belt, he's not fighting till the end of 2020, like till at 2022. Right, because he'll probably fight sometime in May. If Poirier wins, that's 2 times a year and he's done. If Oliveira wins, that's 2 times in a year and he's done. Did Oliveira fight in December?
Oliveira fought twice in the pandemic, so did Gaethje.
Okay, yeah, so they're shutting it down. Chandler wins, he's shutting it down because it's a tough weight cut for him, which is amazing to think, considering the fact he's 5'8". And yeah, that's pretty much it. So
5'8" by 5'8".
Yeah, he's wide. He's a fire hydrant.
He's a tick boy.
Yeah. So I just think the problem is logistically it can happen. But I think Conor McGregor can absolutely put himself in contention. But yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you for answering my question without answering my question. David, Jeremy, who do you think will be champion by the end of 2021?
I think it's Dustin Poirier.
Right?
I think he's just so, he's really smart, really intelligent. Based on what I saw against Conor, and I don't know, Oliveira. What sell me on him because I haven't really seen too many. I don't know. Like
Jeremy, he would be my close second choice.
Sorry, real quick. Let me just prompt question. Tell me what advantages he might have over Poirier.
I think in kicking range, he's more dangerous than Poirier for sure. His offensive jiu-jitsu is very dangerous. He's the type of he employs the type of jiu-jitsu where it's not so much either lay and pray or positional control. He's diving on submissions explosively. He's like dives on submissions like
style.
Yeah, exactly. Snatch and snatch and break. He's like the equivalent of a power puncher for submissions, right? What else? What else can you say about Oliveira? Yeah, incredibly strong, and he's a guy who his wrestling, I think, is criminally underrated in that division because he's taken, NCAA level wrestlers and dumped them on their head. Like, who else remembers what he did to Will Brooks?
Yeah.
That was scary.
And Kevin Lee, too.
Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, people that, his wrestling is criminally underrated. So I think he is I think Poirier will win based on power and the, especially if he goes to the body of Oliveira early. Oliveira has had some trouble against pressure hitters, but he's very much, I would consider him a close second for being the champion at the end of 2021. And third, Makhachev. But yeah.
Give that guy
no one wants to fight that guy.
When was the last time Makhachev fought? Like, it feels like over a year.
Unbelievable.
Like, it's.
I think he fought Davi Ramos. I think that was the last fight, Davi Ramos.
And although Davi Ramos is legit, but anyway, my point was gonna be that Dustin Poirier has to be favored for the championship just because he's already beaten Justin Gaethje, and there was a little stretch. I think people always forget after Justin Gaethje beat Tony Ferguson, where we were all convinced that was the most dangerous fighter in the division, apart from Khabib. So, I don't know, just because Dustin Poirier lost to Khabib, I feel like people maybe don't respect his skills as much as they should, but
yeah.
I still think Justin Gaethje has something for him, though. I still think.
Has something for Poirier?
I rewatched that fight, and honestly, like, it was close, but Dustin Poirier put it on him, man. Like,
but keep in mind that was I was going to say what you're going to say. Go on, Mike.
It was just a guess. It was a Justin Gaethje who was different. Like, his style was different. The way he approached fighting was different. I think Trevor Whitman has done a really good job, and he's done this with Rose too, of them being defensively responsible, right?
Sure. Absorbing less strikes and getting more KOs. Quite simple.
That's one thing I noticed was, like, there was very little defense in that fight, and that's kind of, which is interesting. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, just so many things.
Hot take. Can we take people's performances against Khabib and just not factor them into consideration for how they're going to do against anyone else? Because in my opinion, what Khabib did to Poirier and McGregor, he does to everybody in that division. Like, I doubted him. I will admit, I doubted him at every single step of the way. I am done doubting Khabib, and I think that he is just a special type of fighter that brings a very unique set of problems into the octagon that, like, who else is going to bring that? Maybe Islam Makhachev to a lesser extent, but I don't think he's a good barometer for how any fighter is going to do. Because, how many of us counted out Dustin Poirier after the Khabib loss, right? How many of I think me too. I was like, damn, this guy isn't going to, he'll always be in the top 5 consideration, but he's not getting within 100 meters of that title. Kind of like Uncle Richard doesn't get within 100 meters of a school zone. But
that's like only 3 people are going to know that joke.
Donnie's listening.
3. Okay, 4.
So welcome to the Leg Kick Podcast. We're an hour in. We still haven't finished the news.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is this week.
Well, I think I have a good idea for Friday. We might do Fantasy Fight Friday. Talk about a potential fantasy matchup. Anyways. Next piece of news, and this will be a quick one, but I just, if you're a fan of Freak Show MMA, you'll like this. Mariusz Pudzianowski is returning to MMA. Do you guys know who Mariusz? Do you know Mariusz Pudzianowski?
Yeah, world's strongest man.
Yeah, he's a Polish strongman who transitioned into MMA, and to everyone's surprise, he doesn't look good, but he's got a few tricks, and he knocked a few people out, including one of the Gracies, which I think it might have been Hall's Gracie.
The worst one. So basically the worst one.
Yeah, not his dad Halls, but exactly. But, he's returning to the cage. Let me see if he's fighting. Poland, he's 43. Who? Yeah, no mention of who he's fighting, but I just thought that was noteworthy that Pudzianowski's coming back. Jeremy David, if you haven't seen if you don't know who Pudzianowski is, I guarantee you've seen him on some kind of Instagram highlight reel of some, like, Polish guy whose traps are higher than his skull. Bludgeoning people and gassing out in a minute.
I'm looking at his Google images right now, and man, he's huge.
He was an underrated hand trapper. He would trap your hands and throw something at you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's true. What do you want me to?
Wait,
David,
you mean like literally
Mike's trying to say
grab
he trapped
somebody?
hands and did nothing really else well, which is true. He threw big bombs and trapped people's hands, and that's for a man of
That
his
was his
size
game.
in regional MMA.
That'll work, I guess. Especially
Yeah,
if you're a
it's
strong
regional. It's
man.
David.
You
Look how
literally
bad look how bad heavyweight is in the UFC. Now picture how bad heavyweight is outside the UFC.
No comment, man. No comment. I couldn't fight a heavyweight, so no comments.
Neither of us could. But real quick, this one is a piece of news that I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but this is near and dear to our heart because he was a guest of the podcast. We haven't released the interview yet. I'm going to do some audio work on it. It's still in production.
Oh,
but,
Smiling Sam.
Sam Alvey
Yeah.
recently adopted his foster daughter, and they're now a family of 7. So
He was talking to us about that. I'm so happy for him.
I'm so happy. Yeah. Good on him. Honestly, with a nickname like Smiling Sam, you get pretty much what the nickname entitles, and he is maybe one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And foster father, family man, just a great human being. Gave us a very entertaining interview that we'll release soon. So, congratulations to Sam Alvey, and
Honestly, I have half a mind to just release it as bad as the audio issues were. I have half a mind to just release it.
We'll talk off air. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, shouts out to him.
does that do us for news? Are there any fight announcements? I feel like I might have missed a fight.
I have questions if you guys have answers.
Before we get on that, just double checking the announcements. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything actually.
True. Yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty much it.
Yalla, Habibi.
All right.
All right. Cool. So on IG, we usually run an Ask Question segment. We also have one that me and Jeremy got into downstairs when helping our tenants move. So, all right, first question on the leg kick audience, if my computer can load.
I apologize, but there's one piece of news I don't think we talked about. If you guys did, correct me, but this is a big one. Did we talk about Whittaker versus Costa?
No, but go on, please, because Whittaker versus Costa and Darren Till versus Vettori, two big matches.
Yeah, these are middleweight is fun. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I love Israel Adesanya. I love seeing him put his handiwork to the craft. But he's one of those dominant fighters that I feel was just going to nuke the division and turn it into, a wasteland of ash and tears. And excuse me.
COVID.
It would have been a lot of fun watching him do so. But as much as I would have enjoyed it and as much of a huge fan I am of the anime god, I was a little sad because I'm also a big fan of Robert Whittaker. And, I love Paulo Costa as well, and I'd like to see them in some competitive fights. So this is going to be fun. Pressure fighter, ring cutter, big body hitter Paulo Costa against our, world's favorite karate boxer and surprise wrestler, Robert Whittaker.
Ooh, Paulo, man, you best practice that boxing defense, man. Just practice your striking defense in general, because, man, Robert Whittaker is, I wouldn't say he's at Adesanya level when it comes to, striking, but he's better than Darren Till, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
If Costa shows, some of the same defensive, vulnerabilities that he showed in the last Adesanya fight, it's gonna be a short night. But I don't expect that.
He's just durable.
Here's what gives me pause as well for Costa's chances, because he could very well end up swarming Whittaker to the cage at some point. But Israel fight aside, because Israel is just a level above the rest of the division, Whittaker has some very, very excellent skills and tools for dealing with pressure.
And he can wrestle.
He can wrestle his ass off. If he needs a break, he's got a front kick to the body, intercepting elbows for days, a jab, excellent maintenance of distance. His feet are always in motion. He's just a textbook karate boxer. And if you try and get reckless and chase him, he's going to meet you with something on the way in. And he's done it time and time and time again. And if he doesn't like the looks he's getting on the feet, you guys remember the Uriah Hall fight? He just took his back, wrapped it up, and he's like, all right, we're going to stay here for 3 rounds.
Man, he's a great fighter, man. It's going to be an interesting one. And just...
But the thing about it, though, guys, I do want to say, sorry to cut you off, David, though, is Paulo Costa has a BJJ black belt in his back pocket from one of the pioneers of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Oh, so, Walid Ismail?
Yeah.
So who choked out Royce Gracie?
Exactly. So, knowing that, I know he doesn't go to it often, and the reason why is kind of stupid, but... Paulo Costa can grapple and can grapple well. So understanding that, I think Robert Whittaker would be a little hesitant to get into a grappling exchange with Paulo Costa. But here's the thing. I think no one tries Paulo Costa there,
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't exactly faced the sort of opponents that would resort to takedowns under pressure, I don't think. Like his most notable win. Yoel Romero doesn't.
Not in the same way. Not in the same way, though.
Not in the same way, I guess. But yeah, Yoel is kind of the fighter it's really weird, man. He just makes bizarre choices. He's just like, I'm just gonna do what I feel like doing,
Yeah.
And he can do whatever he wants.
And that's what
he can do whatever.
Just quickly on Romero is that's why I'm kind of liking Whittaker in this one, because Whittaker versus Romero, classic. You might feel who won, whichever, doesn't really matter, but I felt like Romero won that Costa fight. I feel like their styles are very similar, and I think Whittaker has like a pretty decent game plan.
Wait, you feel like whose styles are similar?
Romero and Costa, at least in terms of the way they. I mean, yeah.
I would say they're different.
Just in terms of the power punching. Let me just say that.
Okay. They possess similar threats in their hands. I can. But how they apply it is very different.
Definitely.
Costa is more of a pressure fighter, mauler who's going to push you to the cage and get his work done there. Whereas Romero is long periods of inactivity and then sudden blitzes.
Yeah, but I mean, even like, you know what? Yeah. But I just wanted to say, like, even then, I still think in the Romero versus Whittaker fight, do you feel like that was like Romero wasn't the aggressor, especially like in some of those? I feel like he was the aggressor. No.
I think there were large
one.
Portions,
I would say yeah. First one, I would say yeah.
Yeah, it depends on when. There were large portions of inactivity as well, where Whittaker was just taking the fight to him and peppering away at him. There were points where Romero was certainly the aggressor, but
anyway, yeah.
We've also seen Romero if you allow him to fight his preferred fight, think of like the Rockhold fight, right? If you just let the fight sit and kind of mature and take its course, Romero's going to lay back and lull you and then explode on you. That's kind of his thing. But we have seen opponents who kind of force him to work, like Costa. He will engage in a firefight, but if you give him his choice, he's going to be fairly patient and,
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I guess I was just trying to say because Whittaker could deal with the power of Romero, that I feel like it would be similar if we fought Costa. But you're right; they are fundamentally different fighters. Costa's definitely more of a kickboxer, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I still don't think his stand-up is good enough.
No, the deck
one punch from Adesanya dropped Whittaker from his greatness that everybody was talking about. Because going into that Adesanya fight, everyone were talking about.
I had him winning. I'll be honest. I thought Whittaker was going to win.
Everybody had Robert Whittaker as the man, but it was just that one punch. But his fight against Cannonier, he looked like the man. So,
and the Till fight as well, which happened this year. Yeah, you're right, Jeremy. The Cannonier fight, he looked phenomenal. What's that?
Whittaker fought Darren Till?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2020?
2020, Whittaker, Darren Till, but you're right about the Cannonier one. I forgot about that one myself. Yeah, that was an excellent performance.
Yeah.
He's still. I feel like he was still the same even going into the Adesanya fight. It's just Adesanya is that much better than everybody else.
I wouldn't even say he's better. He just puts a spell on you, man. But we can talk about that.
Dude, Adesanya,
typical African gentleman getting into
No, but for real though, it's almost like you're in a trance and you don't you forget what you're good at.
He does the snake from the Karate Kid.
Option 8. It's option paralysis. Classic. Classic option paralysis. Just over programming you with potential options that could happen, and you just freeze because you don't know what the hell's coming.
I was gonna say him and Volkanovski just do it with feints really well, where they just genjutsu you, man. Like it's crazy to explain it like that. Like it's crazy. That's the best way I can explain it. They just put you under like a weird like, oh, is he gonna hit me with this? Is he gonna hit me with this? They just make you think way too much. And Whittaker to an extent does that, but Whittaker's really good at blitzing and pot-shotting you, which is why I really thought Whittaker was going to win against Adesanya, because I thought that pot-shotting was a hard counter to the feinting, because Gastelum fought the fight of his life against Adesanya, pot-shotting Adesanya, right? So anyway.
And at the same time, I feel like Whittaker missed out on opportunities to incorporate his wrestling into the Adesanya fight as well. I think with Adesanya's level of striking, you're going to need someone who's as skilled as Whittaker in the striking department, where he's going to be able to hang with Adesanya for large periods of time, but clinch and get the fight to the ground when he needs to.
Last point on this.
I'll be right back, gentlemen.
With Adesanya, I feel like it just... By the time people try to clinch or wrestle, it's too late. Like, you're doing it out of desperation, and you're gassed, and like he's spreading his legs, doing proper defense, and you're already in a losing position.
He said spreading his legs.
Spreading his legs. Tee-hee.
Pause.
But yeah, no, I just think like for Costa versus Whittaker, it's gonna be what a matchup, man. If anything, this is why people love the UFC. They give us the fights we want, right?
Yeah. I will say advice for Costa, though, is just angular movement, right? If you can get an angle on Whittaker, why not? Then all of a sudden he becomes dangerous.
Michael, who do you think is more likely to pick the angle? All right.
Hey, a boy can dream, right? A boy can dream.
Okay, and then there was also Till versus Vettori. I don't know what to think about this one, man, because I keep sleeping on Marvin Vettori, and he keeps picking up wins. And, he does have the best showing against Adesanya.
Dude, people keep thinking like it was this like back and forth war. Adesanya won the fight. Everyone needs to stop.
No, he won the fight. But he has the best showing. I didn't say he didn't win. I said he has the best showing. But, yeah, Darren Till, super skilled, super talented. I think he's still like my age, if I'm not mistaken, like 27, something like that.
He's young.
But also has had like kind of like a up and down time since he joined the UFC. Obviously, he made his name. Was it in lightweight or
welterweight? He had that wonderful
run until he got knocked out by Tyron Woodley. But
not knocked out, submitted. He got slapped.
Submitted, but he did get knocked down. I do remember that.
Yeah.
He got schooled that fight. But now he's kind of reinvented himself. Obviously, he's coming off a loss against.
What are we talking about?
Till versus
Till.
Off a loss against Whittaker, but I don't know.
He looked excellent in that fight, though. In the Whittaker fight, he looked
good. He looked good, but it did,
measured. Again, he even managed to drop Whittaker at one point.
Yeah. Oh, that intercepting elbow.
Yeah.
Man.
I just feel like when he comes against the best in the division, like a lot of the time, like the other person, just by being more experienced, has something that he hasn't thought of. Like the Masvidal fight or the Woodley
Masvidal fight. It was just Masvidal did something I don't think I've ever seen in my life and will see since.
Masvidal read him like a book.
Dude, it was I saw that fight again. I was like, I was saying to myself, who the fuck does that? Like, who does that? The double switch into the double hook? Like who thinks of that? Anyway. I have Till winning this fight, though. I gotta say, if they both come correct, I have Till winning this fight, and I'll tell you why. So. I'll tell you why. Vettori took advantage of Jack Hermansson's awkward striking, because Hermansson doesn't really have a lot of tools that he can commit to memory. It's just kind of like he moves around a lot. When you open yourself up, he attacks, and that works well against the lower half of the division. But it's not going to work against guys who have striking tools, who have things that they go to and commit to memory. And Vettori just kind of had things that he committed to memory while also having a solid takedown defense, right? So I think against Till, asking Vettori to go into a bag of striking tools versus Till, I think Till's got this
Isn't
one.
Hermanson ranked like number 5 when he went into that fight though?
Yeah,
So,
but it's because he's got grappling. He's got a grappling game that is so sneaky. Like he's got this army
Victoria's
guillotine.
grappling was really good in that fight. I felt like.
But it was good defensive grappling. For me, I didn't see I didn't see Vettori go for do any kind of passing, go for some like arm bar, go for a Kimura, it was very just I'm not going to give you an opportunity to do anything. Even at the end of the fight when Hermanson was going for that heel hook, for the knee bar, I felt like Hermanson would have got it if like he had 20 seconds on the clock or something. So, it's just for me, I think Vettori had a really good game plan and took advantage of Hermanson's striking flaws. But now you're facing a guy who's not going to be shy to strike with you. And it's basically going to be like, hey, go into your bag of striking skills and beat a guy who is I think Till was an undefeated Thai boxer at one point. So, it's like, hey, go in your striking skills and beat this Thai boxer, accomplished Thai boxer. I don't think it's going to happen.
And I think Vettori's striking gets by in its weirdness. I think Till has showed a patience in his recent fights that I don't think we've seen in a while. And big hitter as well. I like Till's chances, but I'm excited, and I'm not going to count out the Italian dream anytime soon.
Right. If he wins, I'm gonna say that Italian red pasta. What was it again? Italian red rice was better than jollof rice or something like that.
You mean risotto?
Yeah,
Wow.
Italian risotto.
Risotto is significantly better than jollof. One is a delicious dish. The other, well, let's not talk about it.
The other is risotto. Okay, sounds good.
Oh, this guy's got jokes today. And I think that finally just about does us for news.
All right.
Questions?
Yeah, let's get into some questions. And I might have a bad take.
Jesus. Man, the timestamps on this episode is going to be interesting. But first question from friend of the show, Suleiman. He asked,
"Hey, Suleiman,
where do people watch to see the next monsters of MMA?" And then he says, where did all these Turkish monsters come from? By Turkish, I'm assuming he's talking about the Arab world. And my answer to you is
monsters. Hold on, like MMA.
Sorry, cool.
Who's out of Turkey? Renowned fighters out of Turkey.
I think he's referring to the Arab world because I haven't really heard of anybody from Turkey who was killing it like that.
I definitely think there are, and we're just neglecting them.
Maybe.
Hold on, before we answer this, I just want to get this straight. MMA fighters from Turkey. I'm on Tapology right now. Yılmaz Taskin.
All right. In the meantime, Jeremy, got any underground MMA fights, fight leagues?
No. I was trying to think of a joke there, but I'm not that clever. No.
I have some suggestions.
Right. I would say though, to answer this question, the monsters I think he's referring to came from Brave. Brave is like probably that area's like underground fight league that you need to watch.
Brave is good. In fact, before people knew he was going to make waves, I actually saw Khamzat Chimaev on a Brave card doing terrible things to a gentleman out of South Africa. Brave's a good one.
Oh, you're talking about that highlight where he took the guy, threw him across the cage? Yeah.
Oh, Gökhan Saki's Turkish. I would say Brave's a solid bet. They seem to be producing a lot of excellent talent. Let's see.
Cage Warriors is pretty.
Cage Warriors always has some interesting shows in Britain. Conor McGregor came out of there. Jack, what's his name? Not Jake Hager. Jack something.
Oh, Gallagher.
Jake Shore. Jake Shore came out of there.
The double champ.
Yeah. So Cage Wars is always an interesting one. Yeah. I mean, Cuff, there's a couple of very interesting prospects coming out of Cuff. Keep your eyes on that Stefano Hosko guy. He's, a sensuous lad.
All right. Calm down. Ooh, LFA.
LFA is a good one. LFA is good to keep your eye on.
Yeah. And
Lingerie fighting.
Fight League Atlantic. Fight League Atlantic.
Fight like Atlanta. BFL has had some interesting Canadian prospects. Yeah.
Just Canadian homies. BTC.
Honestly, anytime you watch regional MMA, you may or may not get to see one or two up and comers who are going to make it into the UFC, but it's always good fun because it's just such a shit show.
Yeah. Well, the only problem with I would say with like BTC and like on that respect prospect, I love him and I know guys who fought on that card. James Clark, BTC champion, he's my boy. Love that guy. The problem with those cards is they do this thing where they'll bring in like I wouldn't say a fallen UFC or a fallen Bellator guy, but like they bring in like a big name. And as a result, like they kind of like build the card on that. And what ends up happening is you forget like the rest of the card, and you're like just kind of like, okay, who is fighting though, right?
Yeah, there's
business.
There's two kinds of regional MMA circuits. There's feeder leagues and there's graveyards.
Yeah,
graveyards are where they make the old timers go to fight and make some money off of these ex stars, and feeder organizations. You might get to see some good talent, but they're not, they're there for a good time, not a long time.
They're not there yet, right? But yeah, like that's the thing. I wouldn't say BTC and Prospect are necessarily graveyards, but what ends up happening is they do tend to, like, you don't tend to be aware of, for example, Condi fought there twice, right? But the problem with it was Condi fought in like 4th or 5th from the top. So by the time you're like, watching the card, Condi's already fought. Like, you're like, oh, okay. Like, so yeah, that's my rant, I guess. It would be nice if they got, what would I say? If they really did invest in like the Canadian talent who aren't there yet, get like the main event slot. Right?
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Okay, let's see. Oh, just to add, TJ Laramie came from Prospect, by the way, as well. So it's not like they're bad. Let's see. Julian Ibrahim, your boy, right? Says, why did Masvidal versus Usman do more PPVs than Masvidal versus Diaz? Which I didn't know that was a thing, to be honest.
Okay, a couple of considerations aside from the star power of, number one, one's a title fight with legitimate implications. One is a stupid fight for losers. That's number one. No. Number two, I would say that, one's a title fight with title implications. Also, I suspect this, I don't know the date on it, but I think pay-per-view buys have gone up since the pandemic. And Masvidal Usman was a pandemic fight, whereas Masvidal Diaz was not.
That's true, actually. That's true. I think I saw something about Conor McGregor's last fight being like 1.6, which is, if true, puts it up there as one of the highest selling pay-per-views in UFC history, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably tied for second now that I think about it. There's
like
million, and then right after it'd be right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was gonna say because Usman's Nigerian, but honestly, I don't think that's it. I think what Stefano said probably makes more sense. That it's the pandemic. Wasn't also that a replacement fight? Because Usman was supposed to fight somebody else, right?
Burns. Yes. He was supposed to fight Burns, and then Burns got COVID. So the fact that's why it gets me, because the fact that they kind of like threw this up in 7 days.
Yeah, and it still got 1.something. It's crazy.
He still got more than Diaz versus Masvidal. Is interesting. I just think more people caught on to the BS of the BMF thing than they thought people would. Like, I was talking up and down about how stupid I thought the BMF title fight was, like the title fight implication was too. I thought it was dumb. And I'll tell you why. It's because the BMF thing was code for, I don't like the fact the wrestler takes me down, so we're going to have a fight now. Yep. Right? And that's
it's code for blowing money fast, man. Like, what are you talking
about? Right? No, it was like, it's code for, I don't like the fact that I'm fighting someone who's better than me, who actually has a game plan on how to beat me. I want to fight somebody who'll let me do my fight. Wah.
I'm so glad that BMF belt though went the way of the dodo bird. Like, I am so glad there's no BMF belt anymore, and that we didn't continue it and pass it on. Like, it was just so stupid. I'm like, okay, this is dumb, but I'll tolerate it for one night. It's cool, you know. Let the kids have their toys.
Right, it's a good fight. I want to see the fight. I just didn't know. I didn't want to see a BMF thing attached to it, and the promotion too for it is dumb.
To make it 360 again. First of all, I love the fact The Rock came out and gave out the belts. That just made it more wrestling. But let's move it 360 or this entire podcast 360 and talk about the only thing that would have been more perfect is if, like, you could spin the belt like John Cena did with his WWE championship. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Wait, what? What's this?
If you could literally spin the belt and, like, it would be like, you know, those rims on, like, cars?
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
man, that would be fly.
Man. All right, for Stefano, I'll explain to you. So there was this wrestler named John Cena who had a belt with
this wrestler named
I know who
John
Cena
Cena.
is.
You have to preface it with John Cena trying to be hip hop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was trying to be hip hop.
Yeah,
So one of his things was he'd come out like basically like a gangster. He'd come out with a jersey and like a huge chain and a fitted and
Crazy racist.
Dude,
Was
there
he
was
actually
one
racist?
episode, I distinctly remember this, one episode where Vince McMahon said the N-word. Like, he just
I
flat
remember
out
that.
said the N-word. And we gave him a pass. We all gave him a pass. Like, we were all like, yeah, go ahead, boss. David's crying. We were like, yeah, go ahead, boss. You say that N-word. Like,
Vince McMahon said the N-word and he got away with it?
He got away with it. I couldn't believe he said it in front of Booker T.
I saw that clip.
There was a distinct episode. He said it to John Cena and Booker T was in the room. Like,
and then they
Michael,
got Booker
your
T's
boss
reaction
says,
afterwards.
your coach, forget your boss. Your
Saw the
coach
clip of
says the N-word in front of you. What do you do?
well, my coach is half black, so.
Okay, forget it. Let's pretend he's not half black. Stefano, your coach Stefano.
Actually,
says
you know,
the
I got a
N-word.
story. We'll talk off air. But like, there's actually a moment this happened. So
That is
yeah,
so funny, man.
we'll talk off
That is
air.
so funny. Free my niggas, man. Anyway, what's the question? Sorry, did we have a question?
No, that was the Masvidal.
Oh,
somehow Masvidal versus Usman got into that. We kind of answered this on the show, but Alan asked, did Conor lose his eye of the tiger or focus too much on boxing? And we kind of already talked about it. So, Alan, you got your question if you go back, you know.
Yeah.
Couple
Hard
minutes
to
back.
say.
And last one. So this actually is kind of not really even a fan one, but me and Jeremy were talking about boxing weight classes versus MMA weight classes. And I guess if you had to pick one, someone put a gun to your head. I think both suck for their own reasons, but if you had to pick one, boxing weight classes or MMA weight classes, guys?
I'm going to say boxing.
Really?
MMA. Too many
Listen,
classes in boxing, man.
Let me set up the stipulations of it. The argument is kind of based around which one is more conducive to which one makes fighting more fair, which one makes it more conducive.
Yeah, that's true.
To the fighters, and I said it becomes more fair with boxing weight classes because it's measurements of around 5 or 6 pounds. That's the difference. So I think because of the nature of the sport of boxing and the speed, the size, and also muscle and size plays a role in boxing.
Not that much though.
I kept taking Michael back to the image of what if Canelo would have faced a Caleb Smith who was 15 pounds larger than him with a 7-inch height advantage and the reach advantage. What would have happened if, let's say, look what happened to Deontay Wilder versus Fury.
Okay, but here's the counter, and here's always my counter. How did Conor McGregor move up in weight and beat Eddie Alvarez? How did Daniel Cormier move up in weight and beat
These
Steve
are anomalies, though. These
right?
are anomalies.
But that's the
That's
thing.
what I said.
This is the
Oh,
thing.
The vast
Always
majority
talk-
of weight jumps in weight don't go very well. I
Right.
would say that
That's what I said.
Roy
boxing.
Jones
wait,
jumped
hold on,
like
hold on.
8 weight classes. What were
Yeah,
you
Yeah,
you're talking
like,
about
what are we talking?
anomalies, though.
Canelo has also
Yeah,
jumped weight.
Canelo's an anomaly too. So what were
Yeah,
you
Hold on,
talking
let me
about?
finish. Let me make my point. I really think that boxing lends itself with more weight classes to allowing people to find their optimal weight a little bit better. And I mean, you might say like, oh, what's 5 pounds? What's 10 pounds? But
I
when
would
you're
say 10
operating,
pounds.
hold on. When you're operating, Hannibal Buress, I'll give you your turn, okay? We know you're mad because you got kicked off the Eric Andre show, but we're not
did
going to
he
tell.
really?
No, I don't know. He's just rarely appearing on it now. But
Oh wow, I feel bad.
Shouts out Hannibal Buress and shouts out Eric Andre.
I love that.
Anyway,
love
sorry,
that.
go on. Sorry, we're
so
getting distracted.
anyways, when you're operating with fighters that are, as lean as can be with minimal, minimal fat on their body, a few pounds of lean muscle makes a big difference. And I think that
Yes.
it makes a big difference as far as helping fighters find their optimal weight classes. Ideally, I'd like to see somewhere in between the two. But yeah, I like more weight classes. I really do. And I don't think it waters down the integrity of the sport at all.
Oh, I do. I 100% do. I 100%.
Do you though? Do you think do you think that's okay? Hold on, because boxing has we're talking about two intersecting problems. Not just that you have more weight classes, but also you have more weight classes spread over like 20 different organizations.
Yes.
Yeah, that I could see that also. But like I even think if let's say there was one organization, WBA or WBC, like whatever. It could be IBF for all I care. And they had as many weight classes as they do now, I just think what ends up happening is it allows for guys to jump. And we already hate the jump a lot. And it's not the jump in the sense that, oh, let's find the optimal weight. It's the jump in the sense that, oh, there's a killer here. Let me just go to super middleweight, right? Oh, there's a killer here. Let me go to welterweight. Oh, there's a killer at heavyweight. At cruiserweight, let me go to light heavyweight, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
Mike, I don't even have a problem with the jumping. I don't even have a problem with the jumping. It's just more like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a problem with people fighting in different divisions. It's just so many. If you have like 10 divisions as a fan, like there's no way I can be following all of them.
But like you said, a lot of the times boxers end up jumping and doing well one weight class
then
above.
why even have the division in the first place then?
But I'm
just gonna take.
I'm about to explain to you. So they do well maybe one or two weight classes ahead of them, but then once you get up to like 15 pounds larger, 20 pounds larger, that's when you start to see them decrease. They can't put guys out as easily, which is why
I'm not saying, but no one's here
which
saying.
is why I'm saying, and there are pros and cons to each organization's weight class or each sport's weight classes. But at the same time, I agree with Stefano. I think when you have more weight classes, people find their absolute optimal niche, like where they fit in, where they can dominate, where the competition becomes more, where there's more parity in the competition.
Well, okay, my thing is I've always said 10 pounds. Like I've always said the UFC's 15 pounds. Like they go in around 15 to 20 pounds. I've said that was too much. And they tried to rectify that mistake with the lighter weight classes, where the lighter weight classes are 10 pounds now. But what I'm saying is the problem with boxing is you have too many guys who avoid people. And what ends up happening is you have too many guys vacate, and you know this. You have too many guys vacate. You have too many guys ruin the rankings by going left, right, and center. So now all of a sudden the ring is trying to make a ranking list, but they can't do it for so-and-so because so-and-so fought super whatever in their last fight. And so they have to put him in that ranking now, and then they take him out. And so what it's left with is a lot of barren divisions and gives these TV guys the opportunity to pump whoever they want to pump and not focus on the fighters themselves. And one of the reasons why the UFC actually does right by their fighters in this respect, in the marketing aspect, is that you have smaller divisions. You have guys who actually have to make their names through the organization themselves, and there's no jumping. The jump is harder. So now that the jump is harder, they can climb. They can climb a little more, right? As opposed to any of the divisions that we have now in boxing, where the climb is not exactly as clean cut. And that's my whole thing. It's not fair to the fighters. Like if I was in boxing, it wouldn't be fair to me if I fight at 185 and all of a sudden, like so-and-so is jumping back and forth between 80 and 85, thus putting me down in the back burner.
So now that we've kind of talked about pros and cons of each system, I wanted to ask you guys kind of a question springboarding off of this. If you could add one weight class to the UFC, what would it be and why?
185 to 195. Actually, I have two. I don't know. I really want a 165 and then push 170 to 175, and I really want a 85, 95, 205.
Mike, I said which one do you want? Not list off every single potential division.
No, okay.
Pick one.
Okay,
no.
Fine.
Pick one.
If I gun to my head, not 195.
Mike's the king of not answering questions by not answering questions.
Fine. I want a 195. I want 195.
195, eh? What are your reasons for that?
The gap between middleweight of 185 and light heavyweight of 205 is just way too big. It's way too big.
Here's where I'm going to disagree with you on that one, because it is a big gap. I think adding 195 will have the effect of depleting light heavyweight, which is already not very stacked as it is. I think I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see that division. I absolutely would, but my first priority would be 162. In between
165.
I'd go 162 because it's right in between. Right between 170 and 155. I'm going 162, and I think this is optimal because you have people. I mean, RDA is your best example for this, right? Mm-hmm. He's murdering himself to make 55 and then just can't compete with the largest guys at 170 because you have people like Usman that are, built like they're massive. They're massive. They're brick shit houses. So I think for me, number one priority is that one. I also think I do that one first because you have enough talent to fill out that division where it wouldn't hurt 170 and 155. And David, I saw you shaking your head earlier when Mike was talking. What do you?
I mean, just for the 162 division, I just have to go back and look at who would be fighting in that division.
Probably Kevin Lee, Nate Diaz.
I feel like it'd be one of those divisions where 45-55, where you'd see a lot of crossover between the two, a lot of potential stars crossing over. Not a lot of people cross over and do very well between 70 and 55. That's not a jump that you see people tend to make. And
what's that guy's name? Chiesa?
Chiesa's one, but other than Chiesa, how many can you think? There's RDA.
Not a lot. Yeah.
Not a lot, right? The 45-55 is a lot more common. I think the second most common one with success would probably be
light heavyweight to heavyweight because the best heavyweights aren't really in the.
But how many examples of that can you think of that happening? Cormier?
Not many.
Cormier, Couture, right?
And that's it.
That's it.
No, Hizzo did okay. Hizzo did okay.
Hizzo competed at light heavyweight?
Yeah, Hizzo competed at light heavyweight.
You're shitting
early.
Yeah, I mean that I would attribute that then to just physical maturation more than anything else. But yeah, other than that, there's not much.
Oh, did Belfort? No, Belfort went down. Okay, never mind.
I would say I'm not going to use the example of women's 115, 125, 135 because we're dealing with very new divisions, and I feel like a lot of these athletes are still kind of finding their footing and what's optimal for them. I don't think 125 is not very established just yet, but I would say between 120, 115, 125, and 135 women's, we tend to see a lot of crossover. But other ones, when we see, let's say 25ers jump up to 35, they look tiny, in men's MMA.
I mean, unless your name is, he still looked tiny.
Remember how small Cejudo looked against?
That's exactly who I was thinking about.
Remember how
looked tiny? Well, he was huge though. He was jacked, but
yeah. But remember how small he looked against Marlon Moraes and Dominic Cruz?
Yeah.
And which is actually hilarious to say out loud because those guys aren't exactly man mountains themselves.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz is like my height.
Yeah. Dude. Even what's his name? The accountant. Anyway, sorry. Let's wrap.
The accountant?
Isn't that his name?
Who?
Marlon Moraes. It's something
the accountant.
Magic Man. It's Magic.
Did David
Man.
just say his nickname's the accountant?
It has to be the accountant or something.
No, it's Magic Man. You're thinking of There is
David,
one guy with the
David,
nickname.
you okay, buddy? You owe some back taxes?
Tired, man. Let's wrap
Do
this up.
you owe some back taxes? Is that it? I'll tell you one thing. If Marlon Moraes, his nickname is the accountant, then he's Mike Perry's worst challenge yet.
Mike Reese. No, I'm thinking of the wrong guy.
Murderer.
I haven't paid my taxes. I'm too turned up.
Mike
Anyways.
Perry. I'm so okay.
Pike Mary.
Mike Perry. And
Well, this was
newly. Oh,
Huh?
sorry. No, I was gonna say just him and his newly, I guess, birth child are in the world. So congratulations to them.
yeah. Not a friend of the podcast just yet, but
Could be.
could be. We're looking at you, Mike. So I think that pretty much does us. Stay tuned because we'll be coming out with some content on Friday, maybe some fantasy fights.
And there's a fight happening on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Is there?
February 6th? Yeah.
Yeah,
February
Gold
6th,
Cop
versus Bill Green.
versus.
Oh, so we'll be previewing
Also on
that
that
one.
card, Edgar versus Sandhagen. So an actual meaningful fight. No disrespect to the main event. Oh, yeah.
You forget, David, this is heavyweight and that either of these guys could legitimately be champions.
So true. You're right. They might be next up. You never know.
So this has been the Leg Kick, guys. A reminder, if you like what we do, remember to pay it forward. Subscribe to the Leg Kick. We're found wherever you can find podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on any podcast app that you might have on your phone. We're on YouTube. I think we're on SoundCloud as well.
That is correct.
We're putting this up wherever you can find podcasts. We're trying to make it as easy to access for you as possible. So right now it doesn't cost you anything, and hopefully it never will. But stay tuned. Like the podcast if you like what we do. Tell your friends about it. If you want to get in on the questions, send a message to thelegkick1@gmail.com or shoot us a message on Instagram. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And I think that's about it. Thanks
tell
for
your
tuning.
friends. Tell your friends.
My friends. What?
No, tell your friends. Like people who listen. Tell your friends about us.
Tell your friends about us. It goes a long way.
Like, listen, imagine the Leg Kick was like a stock. Go on the Leg Kick Wall Street bets and bet on the Leg Kick, okay? We want our stock to be right here, okay?
We
Right? We want the hedge funds to lose money.
Exactly.
Exactly. We can promise you that we will make many more people with boats bankrupt than r/Wall Street did. So or whatever it was, r/. We'll do our best to bankrupt people with boats. If you got a boat, beware. The only socialist MMA podcast in the in existence,
For real.
other than Luke Thomas's podcast.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's pretty.
I like him. Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys. Peace out.
Oh,
wait. Michael, take us home.
Okay. In this crazy mixed up world where Jessica I is still eating ho-hos, remember, you got three things. You got life, you got family, and this podcast. Have fun, everybody.
Later.